Hello, and welcome to the Commissioner Question Time for factual entertainment for all platforms. We have a large panel. I've never had 6 people on a panel, so we've got a lot to get through. Let's just introduce the panel. We have Ed Sayer from Discovery, who's the head of original commissioning, Discovery Networks International. And Ed oversees and commissions Factual for Discovery Networks International from the London hub for over 220 territories, including the UK. He was formerly VP commissioning for Nat Geo, and his credits include Science of Stupid, Air Crash Investigation, and T-Rex Autopsy. Next to him, we have David Brindley from the BBC, who's head of popular factual and factual entertainment commissioning. He only joined the BBC in March 2017, leaving Channel 4 after 3 years as a commissioning editor there in Factual, and he worked across shows like One Born Every Minute, 24 Hours in A&E, First Dates, and his own credits when he was a producer-director include Educating Yorkshire. So next to me, I have the lovely Kate Teckman, who's the Factual Entertainment Commissioning Editor for ITV, who joined last September. And she joined ITV from Channel 4, where she was there for over 7 years, where she was responsible for George Clarke's Amazing Spaces, Obsessive Compulsive Cleaners, Embarrassing Bodies, The Autistic Gardener, amongst many other shows. And next to me, we have Greg Barnett from Channel 5, who's the Factual Entertainment Commissioning Editor. He is responsible and commissions The Yorkshire Vet. God, I can't even read my own writing. Is that dog?
That says egg fried rice.
Dog rescues with... I thought it said dog reserves.
That's Lara's programme, Factual.
Okay, dog rescues with Alan Davis, Ben Fogle's New Lives in the Wild, and the drama series Suspects. And next to Greg, we have Kelly Webb-Lamb, who is the head of factual entertainment for Channel 4. She joined Channel 4 in September 2016, and prior to that, she's the managing director of Shine, and some of her many credits include The Island with Bear Grylls and Hunted for Channel 4. And then next to Kelly, we have Marvin Benoit, who's the commissioning editor for Entertainment and Arts for Sky. He works across shows like Harry Hill at Tea Time, The Force, and The Art Show. And before Sky, he worked as a freelance producer-director and films including Extreme Doggy Styling and Operation Meet the Street. It's nice. Nice warm welcome for you, Marvin.
And that's all we've got time for. Thanks very much.
That was, my God, that's quite an effort. So what we want to do is, all these commissioner sessions can be kind of the same. So a lot of you, I think all of you, virtually all of you, have got your commissioning briefs online. I know they change, but we will go over some of the biggest topics in factual entertainment. But also what we want to do is try and get an insight into you as commissioners, as people, because I think when people come and see you, it's good to know your tastes as well as the kind of landscape of the channel. So hopefully you'll get some takeout from that as well. So I think we should dive in. Just to kind of do an icebreaker, why don't each of you tell a little, we've called this section Confessions of a Factual Entertainment Commissioner. It could be something serious, an anecdote about something you've learned that will give an insight into you as a commissioning editor, or it could be something funny, the kind of craziest pitches that you've had, but just whatever you want to do. Greg, why don't we start with you?
I'm the funny one. Is Will Dawes in the room from Plum Pictures? Probably not. Will Dawes, please don't. My top tip for commissioning, trying to get a commission with me, is please don't make me stick my head in a box, because Will Dawes and literally all of them, commissioning team came to see me when we were based under Richard Desmond at Lower Thames Street, and they made me watch something on an iPhone, and there was literally 6 big burly blokes, and said, we'll enhance your experience at watching this taster if you put your head in this box. Right, okay. And I did put my head in the box, and then I took my head out of the box and looked for the little CCTV in the corner, thinking, today's the day that somebody walks in and goes, well done, we've had you for 20-odd years. But it was actually slightly intimidating and did make me kind of go, is this for real? But they did, and I did, because I'm just like that. So, yeah, but it was slightly uncomfortable. And they didn't get the commission, so that it didn't work.
I was about to ask. Kate?
Mine is a pitch, and probably the most entertaining pitch I've ever had was a remake of Banzai, and instead of having the Japanese judges, to have an African child militia. And we thought about it, obviously.
David?
Memorable pitch. Member of my team was pitched not too long ago, twerking 9 till 5. Which was...
That's good.
and the pitch went like this to her. We will take women, much like yourself, from the office environment to see whether or not they'd be happy and more fulfilled working in prostitution.
And?
I didn't take it to Charlotte.
You never know. You never know. They don't all have to be crazy pitches. Is there an anecdote that anything you've learnt from an experience or something that you'd like to share with us, Kelly?
I was just going to talk about how, for me, I have joined Channel 4 9 months ago, having been a producer for 23 or 4 years. And the thing that nobody tells you is how to say no. And I think for me, that was the thing that I was like, sometimes there are easy ways to say no. You know, you say, we're already developing something like that, or no, we don't need any more food. We've got a little cake show coming down the way later this year. But often, it's just a fine idea. And I was like, I don't know how to say no to that. And I did, Ralph Lee, actually, I had lunch with him, and I said, nobody tells you
how to say no.
How to say no. And he was really helpful, and he said, just be honest. And so that's what I've learnt to do. But it is one of those things that when you change position across the table, I know how important it is to say there's nothing worse as a producer.
Is better.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Ed?
Yeah, well, my best bit of advice to anyone is to blow your nose before you go into a meeting, because I was in a meeting and people who've come to pitch with me and worked with me before might know that I like a laugh, and someone said a joke and I laughed, and a huge flake of snot came out of my nose and landed on this guy's knee. So I thought, I don't think he's noticed, so I think I've got away with it. So we carried on the entire meeting, and at the end of it, he then turned around and went, are you going to remove that? Oh, no. Yeah. So, sorry, I did lower the tone a little bit.
I don't know how we topped that. Marvin?
Yeah, mine is a kind of a similar learning experience to Kate's, actually. It's, Kelly, apologies. It's the difference between, there's so many great ideas out there, and then there's the needs of the channel. And it took me a while to figure that out, because ultimately, there's no point pitching a daytime series for a prime time slot, and so
no matter how much you love it.
No matter how much you love it, and so it's sometimes it's good to hold on to those ideas and then find the appropriate channel or the appropriate place to bring them back again. But it's very difficult when I'm such an ideas person. So when I hear ideas, I love them. I get really passionate behind them, and then you try and pitch them in, and it's like no. So you've got to quite quickly understand your channel and what you're really looking for.
All right, let's move on. Factual entertainment is such a wide and broad genre. There's so many different shows. I think each channel has its own kind of factual entertainment identity through kind of their biggest brands and kind of popular shows. So what I'm going to do is just ask you about what are the kind of biggest factual entertainment brands on your channel that are synonymous with your channel. And obviously, we might be later on talking about you don't need any more of that, and that's fine. But let's start, Kelly. with you, with Channel 4, what would you say the biggest kind of Factent brands are?
Well, that's obviously a big question for Channel 4, because I think for us, Factent is really the lifeblood of Channel 4. It's what Channel 4's about. So there are many, and they're pretty broad-ranging. And I think one of the things for us that is difficult sometimes for people when they try to understand what Factent means on Channel 4 is that it does mean all kinds of things. But I would say the really big brands for us are Gogglebox, The Island, Hunted, First Dates, now Bake Off. But we also have shows like Child Genius and The Undatables, which are really important brands to us, but are at the kind of more docky end of the spectrum. We do 2- and 3-parters that are big and noisy and say something about the world. And we even do a lot of single docs. So
where's the spectrum?
Naked Attraction, the spectrum is everything from entertaining, compelling, probably bit tabloid single docs, through, as I say, documentary series like The Undatables, through to huge, big, popular factual brands, and then all the way to entertainment shows like Naked Attraction. So it covers the whole shebang.
Okay, Ed, let's quickly, what's the kind of spectrum that you commission from to,
well, that's a really
and
good
what are
question,
some of the big brands you've got?
Well, obviously our biggest brand is Say Yes to the Dress, and
that's on
TLC and on Quest Red. And so when we commission content for Discovery Networks International, and the Networks International is quite important to talk about, because we have not only our paid channels but our free-to-air channels all around the world as well. And so I look for content that's going to be channel agnostic or platform agnostic, so we can play it on free-to-airs, in pay, maybe on D-Play in the territories that have it.
So you've said what your kind of big brand is, but where's the kind of spectrum, just so everyone can kind of get to see the range of programs that you do?
Well, I'd say one area that's particularly a kind of growth area and working really well for us is weddings. The wedding space is an area that we're wholly owning, I'd like to say, at the moment. And so we've got Curvy Brides Boutique, Say Yes to the Dress. And so we're always looking for more programming.
So that's one end. And what's the other end? Or?
Well, I think we go the whole broad spectrum from kind of, documentary right the way through. So we're not, a bit like Channel 4, I don't really just want to put it into kind of formats. We're absolutely interested in formats right the way up to Obdoc on the other side. So the whole broad range, as long as it's got entertainment and humour and a bigger question at the heart of it, that's what works for us.
Okay, with Sky, and because we've got so much to get through, so what are your super brands? And then kind of what's the range of shows that you do, just to give us a flavour?
So we're commissioning for obviously 2 channels, Sky Arts and Sky One. On Sky Arts, we've got the big brands of Master of Photography, Portrait Artist of the Year, Landscape Artist of the Year, Guitar Star, which is now kind of morphed into a series with Tony Visconti, which is supporting unsigned acts.
And Sky One?
And then Sky One, it's about big entertainment with scale. We've obviously worked with Carl before. A League of Their Own is tonally a really good place to kind of start with when thinking about Sky One. We want to be mischievous, witty, funniest man in the pub. So we really want big, ambitious entertainment, really. Entertainment first before factual is what I would say.
But it's still factual entertainment?
Yeah, it's entertainment, comedy, factual. It's a mishmash of so many different genres. So I don't want to define it as just one thing.
Okay. The BBC. What are your big factual entertainment brands at the moment?
Well, range is the key word, I think. That my department is incredibly broad in terms of its output. It's both popular factual and factual entertainment. So I look after all of the heritage brands that we call them on the BBC. So that's Antiques Roadshow, Gardener's World, Crime Watch, Watchdog, Country File, through all the cooking and chef outputs. That's Nigella, Mary, Hairy Bikers, Tom, and then into more formatted spaces, so also DIY SOS and Back in Time for Dinner. But I think, interestingly, the super brands at the moment sit outside of the department. So I'd mention Apprentice, Dragon's Den, MasterChef, and that's where the department now needs to...
Are those shows factual entertainment, or are they features or
Which?
Apprentice,
I
Drug
think,
and
they're, I
Fence?
think they're absolutely factual entertainment. They're heartland factual entertainment.
I mean,
think
the
they're
thing is, we
exactly
should
the things
talk about
should be going for.
is it popular factual or is it factual entertainment? Or because I think that the lines are being blurred at the
Do
moment.
you know what I would say? I don't like. I think factual entertainment is just something that us TV people have come up with as a construct.
Yeah.
I don't think viewers come home and say, "Ooh, I've had a hard day at work. I'm going to come home with some Fact 10." They just want to be entertained.
But
Yeah.
I would say, for me, popular factual is the umbrella that probably encompasses what everybody sat here does.
Yeah.
Within that, factual entertainment to me, and I think at Channel 4, is about twisting something, asking a question, pushing something, playing with it, challenging it. So I think a lot of the stuff that we all make would come under popular factual, but Fact 10 within that needs to ask a question, needs to look at something in a new way, needs to make something funny or compelling or different. So I think that's what it is at 4. But I totally agree with you. I mean, this is TV jargon.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we want to make shows that are about something that you want to watch, that are compelling, that challenge you, that make you think, that open your horizons. That's what it, certainly that's why I go to work every day.
It feels like, even though you've all got a broad spectrum, you are looking for slightly different things. Would you say Channel 5, are you more, well, tell us what your kind of big brands are, and then what the kind of range of shows that you do, and whether it's, would you say it's more kind of entertainment-y?
Probably more so on ours than any of the others, because on the left you've got kind of archive, so the Adele story, the Ant Deck story, the Peter Kay story, the Horribly Wrongs, the Grace's Christmas ads, in their own words, and then you go right the way through to the other end, which is the Yorkshire Vet, which you've mentioned, Ben Fergal's New Lives in the Wild, Cruising with Jay McDonald, and a few stops in between.
Okay, Kate.
Well,
ITV.
ITV is very broad, actually, because if you start at Joe Clinton-Davis, it is very dramatic, factual, the Pierce Killer Women, all the crime docs and crime formatted docs, and then you move through to Long Lost Family, then sort of Paul O'Grady's For the Love of Dogs. But the reason we are creating a whole new Fact 10 slate, and so we're looking out to really sort of embrace big, ambitious Fact 10 propositions.
With what kind of tone? Then?
Well, the tone is with humour, to excite, to entertain, and to be relatable to people's experience. So if you come to ITV, and I hope you all do, to pitch, you will not leave without hearing about reality with purpose, that everything, there has to be a reason for it to exist. We want to answer the questions that are in the conversation at the moment. So that's it, really.
I think that is everyone. So I think I'd really like to get through everyone's clips today. So Kelly, let's start with yours. This clip is the Old Folks Home for 4-year-olds, is that right?
It is,
Is that what
yeah.
the title is?
Working title, yeah.
Working title. So it's not gone out. This is a sneak peek?
It's a very early cut of what you'll see when you watch it. I think the reason why I wanted to show this clip is because I think it's important with 4 to just always remember that range, and a lot of our shows are really big and noisy, they're innovative, they're risky, but we do have shows that are much more docky, that have purpose. I think hopefully always do something new, break new ground, ask new questions, are always funny, are always entertaining. But this one is definitely at the kind of docky end of our spectrum. And yeah, this is an early, very early.
So that's still in production at the moment. It's still being made. And who's
it's
making
in the
it?
edit. CPL are making it. It's in the edit.
What slot will that go out in?
It will go out midweek, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, and
So is it like? I mean, I just watched that. So is it like you've got the old people? So it's a bit like Marigold Hotel, and then you've got Secret Life of 4-year-olds, and
Yeah, I mean, I think what we liked about it is that so this idea is based on a real thing that's happening in America, and you want to say an experiment, but actually I think it's been going on for 2 decades. So there's a company in the States where this is what they do, and it's sort of proven to have a long-lasting, like literally the old people live longer, so it genuinely extends their lives. And so what we were excited about was, I think it will be funny and heartwarming and all of those things, but there's a kind of proper specialist factual backbone there, where there's experts who have tested them all at the beginning, and things like memory and eyesight and coordination and agility, and they will test them all at the end to see how that's changed, and there's a possibility of genuine legacy. So it's got proper purpose, but within that, there's great characters and great human stories, and hopefully a lot of humour as well.
When you talk about purpose and the things you've been saying about Channel 4, how absolutely important is it? Can you do things that are just, it's called factual entertainment, kind of out and out funnier than that?
Well, I think we have loads of shows that are out and out funny, but even the funniest of them
always
has some reason for being. Otherwise, you take off the factual, don't you? And it becomes entertainment. Okay. So but definitely humour is really important. I think a lot of our most successful shows are really funny. I also think for us the really important thing is about risk and being brave about taking risks. And for example, Eden, which hasn't been talked about for a while, but which was a massive risk for the channel, I think probably a risk that only Channel 4 would have taken. And what's been really interesting about it is that it didn't go as was planned at all, and I think that's when Fact-Ent is at its best, is when you kind of plan for something, and then when it doesn't go that way, you go with it, and it will be on telly soon. And actually what's happened is that rather than this experiment which was about what would happen if we all start again, and we were kind of expecting and hoping for a kind of lovely, wholesome experience, it actually went extremely dark, and the answer to that question has been, be bloody grateful that you live in a world with rules and laws and the society, so I think that's what Channel 4's about. So it is about risk, it is about humour, but it is also about purpose.
Greg, let's move on to you for Channel 5. What excites you, and what have you've got a sneak peek of something coming up, or do you want to explain what your clip is?
Yes, I probably should. What's interesting about kind of what's working on my kind of slate programmes, this year we've seen the Yorkshire Vet break the 2 million mark. I would say there isn't really anything tricksy, and that's not Start Around With You, that's absolutely Channel 4's job. What I find very wonderful about the Yorkshire Vet is it's a very straightforward proposition. It's an easy watch, and I think it's such a beautiful part of the world. Here we are in Yorkshire.
And is that a documentary? I know it comes out of kind of
It's access. But again, I think the point we're making here is that the genre is kind of blurred, and it's a different thing to different broadcasters.
Yeah.
For me, talking about the Yorkshire Vet in question, it's really nice to see lots of our viewers love people getting a thrill out of their job and being good at their job and having fun and saving animals' lives or not in a beautiful part of the world. We'll emulate that with Matchlight's Hallam Midwife, fingers crossed, that's coming up very soon. One of our other breakout hits this year has been Cruising with Jane McDonald. Again, not a tricksy format, but if you want to know what colour knickers to wear if you're thinking of going on a cruise, ladies, and perhaps gentlemen, Jane will tell you the answer is beige. I can give you the other factual takeout later. But it was as simple as...
a real sense of purpose
it was,
to that.
But it was but not. A massive sense of enjoyment and entertainment. And Friday night, and we racked our brains for ages. There's only 7 of us on the commissioning team at Channel 5.
The whole commissioning team?
And we're there going...
No,
I have no department. I am Factual Entertainment. Although, to be fair to my colleagues, there are Factual Entertainment shows on each of our slates. I've mentioned...
Did you just say 7 for the whole of Channel 5?
7 for the whole of Channel 5. And so, from cruising with Jane McDonald, which people enjoyed on a Friday night, it was just a simple idea to put Jane, someone who'd worked for years on the ships and built her name, it's her 20th anniversary since she did it last year, to go on a kind of wish you were here, to be fair to ITV, type voyage. Who would know cruise ships better, and who would know certainly what knickers to wear? She would. And 1.5 million people watched live, 2 million watched it on consolidation.
Wow.
Off the back of that, our feeling is that people just want a straightforward watch, no tricks. It doesn't mean the ambition has to be limited. The budgets might be slightly, unfortunately, because we are the 5th smallest public service broadcaster. We are going to back Jane McDonald again later this year. We haven't made anything yet. It doesn't film until December, so the clip is actually a bit of a con. It is a clip from her Palladium show last year, but I hope you enjoy it. We are reimagining the 1970s entertainment music special, the likes of which used to be hosted by dearly loved Scylla, Dusty and Shirley Bassey. We're going to do 6 hours with Jane and Friends. It's called Jane and Friends. It'll be her having a good time. And there aren't really any women doing that on any of the public service broadcasters. So why not Jane?
Clip 2, let's have a look. Wow, so that's more on the entertainment end of factual entertainment. Thank you. So, talking about bringing people back, are there any other kind of talents or shows or formats from the past that, if you could you resurrect? Anything that you've liked personally from your childhood or anything else?
Call My Bluff.
Call My Bluff. You'd love to?
Yes, I would.
David?
I'm not sure really. I think I'd probably rather look forward and think about innovating than bringing other things back.
Okay.
With URLs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyone else?
Well, on Sky One, we haven't got our reality show, and we would love an I Am a Celeb, Get Me Out of Here. And with the success of Love Island, it kind of takes me back to when Sky did The Villa, and we think, well, actually, what would Sky's one's take be on that genre? Please come talk to us.
So, how do we innovate then? I know you're saying you want to look forward, but how do we get innovation and kind of where's the next hit from? Because people say, well, most things have been done. It's just a slight variation, or it's the twist, or it's the blending together of genres that create something new. Talking about innovation, Kate, where are you getting innovation from? Because I think
The blending together of genres and the twist we're looking to innovate in the mainstream, ITV, and I suppose what that means is looking at things that people really love and finding different ways to tell those stories.
But ITV, isn't it tougher because you are the biggest commercial channel, and it's a tougher place to... so the BBC's got BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three. So if you do something at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on ITV1, do you have to God, I need to hit these numbers, otherwise we're off?
We need to hit the numbers, but we also believe that we can do that by innovating in mainstream. So we're not expecting to do something that is purely experimental, and I believe people should be doing stuff that's purely experimental, but we're not going to be doing that. But we will innovate in mainstream ideas. So I suppose an innovation you could say is we've just commissioned Gone to Part, which is an ensemble of slightly older famous faces and names who will be going off on a sort of magic bus trip around America to ask the question, should cannabis be legalised? And so in a way that's an innovation on Marigold, to be quite honest. Do you know what I mean? It is taking that fantastic ensemble of characters and putting something quite audacious into it.
And would you be allowed to say when's that on, or
I cannot tell you when it's on because it's commercially sensitive. It's been commissioned.
And it's in production. Do you know who the people?
I cannot say.
Okay, well that sounds exciting. Could you show us a sneak peek of something?
Yeah, again, this is something that we're really proud of. It's on Thursday, and I would suggest if you want to come and pitch to us in sort of big idea fact, then please watch it at 8:30 on Thursday. It's called The Real Full Monty. And basically an idea came in which was to restage the Full Monty because it's the 20th anniversary. And the idea got worked up from let's then do it with celebrities and let's have a purpose. And the purpose is to raise awareness of men's health issues of testicular and prostate cancer. And it is turned into a 90-minute sort of feature Factent doc for us, and we're very proud of it. So I'll show the clip at the moment. I believe this clip, and it might not be greatest quality actually, because we're still finishing it, is the majority of our dancers, and it was very, very difficult to get them, we had to go through like 600 celebrities, are asked for the first time to take their clothes off, and no one thought that the amount of body issues of these men and their body image issues would come out as they did.
Let's try and play. Let's try and play that
so then
the full Monty clip. A smattering of applause. Now you got a big laugh. That was a very good laugh. So when's that on?
That is on at 8:30 this Thursday. It has many twists and turns. We're incredibly proud of it. But that's the idea of doing factual entertainment with performance. And please do watch it and see that that is the sort of level of ambition. Obviously, we're across the range, we want from low budget to high budget, but that we are really looking for and that we will really get behind. So have a look.
So there's a performance at the Palladium.
In front of 2,000 people.
When's
at
that?
That's in the... Well, it's how many people can do it.
So there's a documentary and a performance?
No, the documentary is that they are working towards a performance at the London Palladium.
Yes.
And within that documentary, they perform in front of a full audience, a strip, but it's how many of them do it and what happens en route to that strip.
So that feels quite different from the kind of Factent stuff on ITV previously.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's not to say that we don't love our Factent that we've got, but we are looking for these real blow-your-mind, ambitious Factent projects with beautiful storytelling. And and you do hear the word celebrity a lot of ITV. We do often want names, not exclusively, but we often do because it immediately signals entertainment. And so that's the sort of thing. Please watch it and please come to us with ideas like that. We will get back whoever it is that does.
Talking of the kind of collision of genres, Marvin, let's move on to kind of your clip. It's from A League of Their Own, the US Road Trip 2.0.
Yes. So first of all, I just want to say that we've kind of only just begun our kind of Factent journey, and we're really interested in getting ideas that take us into new worlds in new ways. And we feel that these worlds should feel filmic. And if you imagine, I always say to people when they're coming to pitch to me, is that if you imagine the billboard for your show, what would it look like? I
mean, Sky's different from the other channels, although ITV has... Everyone's got pressures to get audiences. There are commercial pressures. Sky is slightly different in terms of you have subscribers, so you have to...
Well, it has to be content worth paying for. I always say, if you imagine going into a sweet shop, we've got to be that Willy Wonka chocolate. We've got to offer the golden ticket. You've got to have something different that you won't find on the other broadcasters.
So talent is key?
Talent's key, but format first always. But when we do have those conversations, it has to be, think big. Freddie Flintoff, James Corden, Harry Hill, Sue Perkins. It's got to be big. Got to be a puller into the channel. The reason why I've chosen to show this clip of A League of Their Own Road Trip is because obviously A League of Their Own started as a comedy panel show, entertainment show, and it's kind of morphed into this beast it's got so much camaraderie and kind of this funniest man in the pub, which is so kind of spot on for tone for Sky One. But it's kind of morphed into this kind of thing that even I think James Corden himself says, I don't even know what this show's become, but I'm loving it. And so it kind of go on this travelogue journey, but it kind of gives you a good tone of Sky One. But like I said, we're starting this journey, so we really want people to come in with just different ideas that are genre-busting and changing form.
So talent, obviously, is really key, and I want to talk to all of you about talent now. So, big names, do you need a big checkbook? Sky once said, and I know there's been a different evolution with Zy Bennett taking over at Sky, that you weren't interested in breaking new talent. That's not your job. Do you think...
No, so I don't think that's right, because I think ultimately if we can find the right format, the right vehicle, the right Factent show, then we can break new talent. Why
But
not?
do you think it's more difficult being on a digital channel?
Yeah.
You know, people say, well, you have to scream louder, so you need faces that are known to draw people in, and then you can maybe innovate with
I think it goes
formats.
part and parcel of trying to create fact tent with scale and ambition. Naturally, we want to be the best in class. So we want ideas that are going to sing to the heavens and get people talking and get the press talking about it. And talent's one way to do that, but it's not the only way. So we're open. I think people coming to Sky, it's not just about opening the checkbook, and that's not why people come to us. I think ultimately we want to take risks. We're a great place to work. I hope that if any of you guys have worked with us before, you know what it's like working in the Sky community. We're a fun place to be. We nurture talent. So. And also that's what's great, with Harry Hill coming to us. He's come to us with a show that he's so passionate about doing. And he's so happy that we've taken it and we're loving and nurturing it the same way he loves it. And so it's more than just opening the checkbook.
So talent, Ed, how important is talent for you on the Discovery Networks, on TLC?
Well, actually, I mean, I think talent is incredibly important because it can become channel-defining. Faces for your channel. I think people associate your channel with the talent that's on it. I mean, look at Ant and Dec on ITV, A League of Their Own. I mean, you're definitely not going to find that kind of show on any other channel, I think, so congratulations on that. I mean, for us, so we've got a new show coming out in July, a Katie Price show, and but it has to be talent, just before I really introduce the clip. Talent with a purpose, and it goes back to trying to find formats or shows or odd docs that have a bigger question at the heart of them. And so this Katie Price series looks at Katie in a very different way. It's Katie, the coming up to middle age, the working mother, trying to leave Jordan behind and balancing her working life and trying to move into a different stage of her life, which I think is really, really important. But it's still got all the things that you're going to expect.
Wow, when's that coming out?
July.
And why did you commission it?
So...
No.
Well, thanks a lot for that.
I'll qualify that.
Because I thought it was good.
I never thought I'd say I want to watch that from that clip. But it's not what I was expecting about Katie Price, and it was really funny in having those kids talking in that frank way.
Yeah, I think one of the... So just to give a bit of context as well, so we've got... two free-to-air channels in this country, Quest and Quest Red, and we all know TLC as well. But the real opportunities, so Quest Red only, for those of you that don't know, only launched in March. And so it's still very much finding its feet, and we're testing out new formats and different genres. And so it's a great time to be coming to talk to us. But I think one of the things that is the hallmark of Quest Red. One of the things we're building is authenticity and relatability, and I think what that shows is Katie in a very different way. It shows bizarrely a kind of a normal family life that we can kind of relate to. Talking about, am I going to throw away this? Are we going to have any more kids? And I think that interaction, you've never seen Katie portrayed in that way before. And I think that's what makes it truly unique.
Okay. David, let's talk about talent for you at the BBC. I know you're only just started the job, so your slate is quite new. Do you want to talk to us about what you're kind of doing or looking for?
Yeah, I mean, talent's really key, and I'm very lucky to have inherited a department that's got an amazing roster of talent, but we need to keep discovering new talent, I think, and also repurposing people that we might have known in a particular role and seeing them in a different light, I think is a useful steer for us. And also finding people who have something to say that have a distinctive voice is also key. So the likes of Anne Robinson that we work with is brilliant when thrown into a more documentary space, and I think we'd definitely be looking for more of that. But more than that, I'd say much more importantly than that, it's when you were talking about innovation. For me, it's about it's about form and it's about shape that are now most interesting. I think people come, I've sort of noticed, I think people come to the BBC with an idea of what a BBC idea might look like, and I really encourage everyone to be liberated from whatever they think that might be. Yeah. You know, I've come over from 4, Michael Joknovic has just started, who's got a much more fact-end ITV background, actually, you know, and in my previous incarnation was involved in things like the trial, which felt like something that felt really risky, like Kelly was just saying. And I'd much rather hear ideas that feel frightening and almost unmakeable, and then pull those back, than try and inject something into something that feels very familiar. So it's much more for me about the approach than anything else.
Do you want to talk? Should we show your clip?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to explain what it is?
So this is a clip from the Big Family Cooking Showdown, which was something that obviously was commissioned before I'd arrived. But I think this Sanjay and the team at Voltage have done a brilliant job on this, and it moulds those two things that we were just talking about in terms of the start of the journey for us on content and talent. So the talent here is Zoe Ball, but also Nadia, who's from Bake Off, who's just brilliant stepping into a presenter role, and I think, you know, could turn into an incredibly strong face for the channel. And then also Giorgio Locatelli and Rosemary Schrager, who bring a lot of energy to the proceedings. But then it was interesting just coming to it fresh and joining the process quite late on. You can see, just in terms of the shape of the competition, you know, the middle section of the competition, the second challenge is back in the families' homes, and it feels like this is just as much a show about families and their relationships and their relationship with their food heritage as it is about how well they cook. So I've just put together a clip from one particular family's journey throughout the show: first challenge, second challenge, and third challenge. And I just think it's a useful pointer to the direction that I think we need to go in terms of everybody rethinking form and talent. So I think Nadia feels like, you know, a really central talent to that show, and the four of them together work incredibly well. And like I say, I just think it's the start of us trying to think about different shapes too. And I'd encourage people to you know, really push the boat out now in terms of what they're coming to the BBC with, and as I said, just feel a bit more liberated, because quite a lot of what comes in, I feel like, is sort of 5% different or 10% different to that we've seen before, and I think we could probably be a bit more inventive.
And just talking about format and talent, I mean, you know, Bake Off was the biggest story in not just Factual entertainment, probably in British television over the last year, and the defection from going over from the BBC to Channel 4. And some people think, well, Bake Off is obviously it's a really good format, but the talent is absolutely crucial to the alchemy of that programme, and that format and brilliant talent equals brilliant show. And the late great Steve Hewlett, the commentator, I mean, he basically said, there's a quote from him which says, you know, you could say essentially Channel 4 spent 75 million quid on a tent and one judge. How important is that kind of alchemy, do you think, between talent and format to make great TV? And obviously we can't judge yet, we've not seen your new presenters, but how important do you think that is?
Well, there are plenty of great examples of this, though, isn't it? If you look at kind of Amazon and the Grand Tour and, you know, the Top Gear crew going over there.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Chris Evans took over. It didn't work for the first season. The second season has actually started to work. So it's. I don't think there's a perfect answer to the question you're posing, because I think the format is obviously key. I think that talent and format are intertwined. But sometimes I think that the format can be stronger and new talent can come in and make the format their own. So I think that...
I would say Bake Off is very different to Top Gear, because Bake Off has the bakers.
Yeah.
And I agree that format and talent are, you know, important and will work together, and that's why I'm really confident that Bake Off's going to be brilliant on Channel 4, because I think that the talent that we've got are, I would love to give you all some little tidbits, but anyway, I'm not going to for what's happened so far, but are
you're
going to
filming
be
at the
great.
moment.
We are. But I do think that the extra bit with Bake Off is the bakers. It is all about the bakers and the baking. And actually, so, you've got the bakers, the baking, the format, and the talent. And those are all the elements that go together to make it work as a successful show. And our new talent are just absolutely bloody brilliant, and I love them.
And casting is so key to all these shows.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, people could say that you chose slightly left field. I mean, I've worked with Noel Fielding, he's brilliant and a genius, but you wouldn't automatically, before his name was in the papers, you would say. So then, again, it's getting someone from the comedy world, someone different.
But what I think people don't know about Noel is that he is just a genuinely lovely man. And so actually, he is really funny, and he and Sandy together have a kind of playfulness about them, which is just an absolute pleasure to watch, and really, really genuinely like each other. But he is such a sweetheart. So he's so gentle and lovely with the bakers that I think that those, loyal Bake Off viewers who are like, oh, Noel Fielding, when they actually see him, will see that about him. The tone of Bake Off is actually what makes Bake Off brilliant, and the tone of Bake Off is not changing.
It's about an invitation to entertain as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, that's where the casting is key. Is you want to come home, you want to spend an hour with those people because they're going to entertain you, they're going to make you laugh, and that's what I think that those great returnable formats do. Whether talent-led or not, The Apprentice does that. It invites you to enjoy and to laugh over and across the hour, and I think that's key. It's ensuring that people are coming to these shows because they know they're going to go away with a smile on their face.
Also, to me, being handed Bake Off in my second week in the job, I did feel like, that the important thing is about protecting and honouring its place for the audience. Yeah. That's like a really big deal and really the most important thing. And therefore, the time spent carefully crafting that talent and carefully casting and really thinking about it was absolutely the most important thing to do because, I want Bake Off to work for the audience. That's why we're doing this. And I think they do honour what everybody loves about it, but yes, it moves it on a little bit in a way that I'm really excited about.
And talent is so important to everyone. It's quite tricky. When should they talk to you about what talent works? When should they approach agents? And it's a kind of tricky dance to go on. And when do you secure talent before? But then you don't want to approach someone unless you know that the channel's interested. How can it work?
For us, I think probably for lots of people, it's if you have a very good relationship with talent, then bring that to us. If you have a very good idea, then bring that to us, and we will help you with talent. And if you have both, that's fantastic. But that not to be put off coming with a great idea with no background with talent or with possibly not even knowing what talent you'd want to put on it. Bring the idea in and we'll work with you. Likewise, if you've got a great, if you have a relationship with talent but possibly not such a great idea, bring the talent in and we'll work with you.
It's about honesty and transparency as well with us, I think, in terms of the conversations that you've had with that talent. That's key. And also, we're really happy and want to facilitate those relationships too. So, we can help with those meetings that we have great, relationships with already. I think it's about indies feeling like they're going to be supported and in partnership with the broadcaster in terms of those relationships.
Just before we open it up to the audience, just want to say how, just a question about how we're consuming TV with the rise of box sets, Amazon, Netflix. People consume, obviously dramas are really easy and comedy is easy to consume in a whole series, but are you changing the way you guys work for Factual Entertainment about releasing online more episodes first, or is it still a weekly thing? Is it you want the family or everyone to sit down and watch it, or could you release, say, MasterChef on one go, or would it just not work?
I mean, I wouldn't do that. I think Fact-Ent is actually one of the genres where there is still appointment to view, and you still do sit down as a family, and you want to watch it on that night because you don't want people to tell you the next day what's happened. And I think we're lucky in that, and as a genre, we should protect that for as long as we possibly can. So my feeling would be not to do that. I think for us, for our big shows, at 4, they do really well on Vold on catch-up, but they are still, getting good numbers overnight. And those, certainly within that week, if people don't catch it that night, they want to watch it before the next one. But there is still appointment to view. And Fact-Ent feels to me like a genre where we should be celebrating that and shouting about that and keeping our focus on great ideas, innovation, things that you want to share with the people that you're watching telly with.
I mean, I think that digital channels were the inventors, funnily enough, of binge TV before Netflix and Amazon, or Namazon, as I'm coining that phrase, heard it here first, came along. Because I think in our schedules we can stack, a whole day, if you want, of kind of say yes to the dress. And I think you'll hear us talk at D&I about channel agnostic content that can sit on many different platforms. And of course, we actually, a Discovery channel has done a deal with Amazon, so you can get us on Amazon, you can get catch-up there. I think consumers are finding more and more different ways. If you're a Sky subscriber, got the Sky Q, you can make your own schedule up. So I think it's about getting your content on as many different platforms and so the viewer can make their own schedule and watch it how they want.
Let's open it up for questions. So I think we've got a couple of mics. Can we... Hands up. Who wants to ask a question? Oh, people are shy. Any questions? Oh. All right. So what's the riskiest... What's the riskiest commission or thing you've done in TV? And what was the risk and why did it succeed or not, as the case may be?
Well, from a commissioner's point of view, I think any commission is a risk, in all fairness, because I think that none of us really know how something's going to perform. So I think for producers to understand that, it's not about taking monumentally big swings like I'm going to take Bake Off or I'm going to take Grand Tour, obviously those are much, much bigger swings. But I think in the context of everything, we have limited amounts to spend, and so we have to carefully think about what we're going to spend it on, where it's going to play, and so everything, I think, does represent a risk.
Anyone else want to answer that?
Well, I think, if I can do just two, and I think very quickly, because Alex is here, I think Embarrassing Bodies Live was an enormous risk. Compliance-wise, it was absolutely terrifying, but also to take a very well-established brand and to try and move it on. And after a faltering first series, the second series came back storming. And I also would say that Obsessive-Compulsive Cleaners was a massive risk, because we were trying to use the genre features to talk about and the form of features to talk about mental health. And again, it was a potential. It was an incredibly difficult series to make, and also to make it seem so light. When actually it was there were elements that were very, very difficult to put together.
I mean, in an ideal world, the last thing that you commission probably should be the most risky thing that you've done, because that in itself says that you're trying to push things all the time. I'd probably talk about the trial, The Murder in the Family, which we did at 4. And what I really enjoyed about that process was that it was incredibly collaborative from the start. Mark Raff, when he was at Dragonfly, and we spoke with, and Hamish too, sort of came in, and we were talking about that question that was in the ether at the moment, and what was preoccupying society in the same way that Hunted has at the top of its pre-title, The Island has it in terms of masculinity. And we alighted on the justice system and sort of came up with very different shapes. And it felt like a real collaboration between broadcaster and brilliant brains in the indie world to get that to where it was. And it genuinely, at the point of shooting, might not have worked. And I think whenever you're feeling that, that's probably a good thing to hold on to.
I would say Hunted on the island for different reasons. Hunted, I think, was a...
And you were producer,
I was
not the
producer at that
commissioner.
time. Hunted was a massive risk for the channel to take, because literally when we set off, they could have all been caught in 3 days and we would have had no show. And that was genuinely the case. It was real. So to take that risk was a, brilliant thing for the channel to do, and I think probably something only Channel 4 would do. The island was a totally different kind of risk because of the embedded crew. So, you just kind of set them up, let them go, and hope that something happens, because we tried to make that in a completely new way. And that did come with it massive risks. Also, no challenges, no evictions, no winner, just an island with some people on it without any production. Was a huge risk, but I think it is when you take risks that great things happen, and that is the truth. That's the way to move things on. You have to try things for the first time, and that for me is the most exciting thing. When somebody comes in to see me and they suggest something and I think I haven't got the foggiest idea how you would make that, that's when I'm interested. That's what feels exciting. That's what we want to do. We need to keep moving telly on.
Greg?
Well, we've done pushy things at Channel 5. Guy Davis has done a show earlier this year where families have been put on an island and tried to kind of sort things out, and you can say you're pushing things in that respect, being innovative and moving kind of things forward, and that's high risk. We've sent Ben Fogle to some dangerous places and had problems potentially with insurance, but probably the scariest moment for me was the moment I saw Joe McDonald sing Club Tropicana at the end of the first cruise show. Because we'd all sat in a room and gone, yeah, it's a really good idea, let's have us singing at the end of the show, it'll be really good, and probably got a little bit overexcited. And then I was the one who sat on the edit with the sick raising in the back of my throat going, people are going to phone me tomorrow and go, what the fuck have you done? But then the pleasurable side of that was seeing the ratings the morning after. So, there's risk, a la Channel 5.
Mine is probably a project I'm looking after currently called My Wonderful Life. And it follows the stories of several terminally ill people as they leave messages beyond the grave to their loved ones. And I guess the risk there is trying to sense. Obviously, it's about death, but it's about celebrating death. But it's finding the tone where it's actually warm and still entertaining and emotive, and it will make you cry and make you laugh all at the same time. And it was a worry because you're shaping that and you're filming that and you're finding the right time to go back to those families after their loved one has died. When is the right time to approach them to share that message with them when they're ready for that bereavement process. But I've seen the first film and the way it's shaped is just beautiful. It makes you cry and it makes you smile and it makes you laugh.
What channel is that?
Sky One. Yeah.
I'd forgotten gone to part 5, aging celebrities on a medicinal testing marijuana around America on a medicinal trip, which is so scary that it blanked from my mind.
Just before we do have a question, so can we have a quick microphone up there? Dashing for lunch now.
Hello, I'm Jane Liscombe, producer from Australia. I'm British, but I live over there and I'm coming back here. And one of the questions, I guess, around risk would be one of the things I've learned in Australia is channels obviously have limited budgets and then they want to take a risk in the format, but maybe not on the people who are making it. So would it be your advice to attach yourself as a sort of indie to a bigger name person that you all feel less risk in making that project with, or are you completely open to indies coming in with a track record elsewhere?
We're completely open to coming. If it was such a risk, we might suggest a COPA, but we're completely open to any indie coming in with any idea, and the best idea will get the commission. We'll help you and we'll support you and we'll work on that, but definitely come in.
I think from Channel 5's point of view, we would kind of say the same, come in, let's have a chat. Obviously, I think we all asked the question, who's making it, what shows have they made before, if it's a live event, have they any experience in that field, and if I take the view, or any of my colleagues with Ben Frown, my director of programmes, that maybe we're not totally sure about this, we'll try and help you get the idea away. We may, worst case, partner you with a production company of our choosing that we think has got more credible experience or would help the fledgling indie or the inexperienced indie learn what it is they need to learn to deliver the programme that everybody wants them to make, and marry the ambition up for it that way.
Yeah, what he said.
Ditto.
Lunch.
Just practically, how does it work, just very quickly, at each of your channels, like people pitch to you or people in your commissioning team, and how many hoops do they have to go through in terms of to get a commission? Just really quickly, Sky.
So it all depends. Like, so we usually like kind of quick, short paragraphs. Send them in. We like them. We'll get you in. We'll talk about the ideas. If you've got sizzles, great, because that really helps to show scale and get ideas to sing off the page.
Once they pitch to you,
we'll talk in it as a team.
Yes.
Go to the other team that goes up to the other team. But quite quickly, it depends. It depends on the idea.
And who signs it off? Is it Zy Bennett?
Ultimately, Zy and Adam, and they'll talk to upstairs. Talk to finance, and then.
Fine. Channel 4, how does it work? You're the head of Fact 10.
I'm
There's
the head
other
of
people
Fact
in the team.
Yeah,
and
we have a very collaborative team. We talk to each other all the time, so absolutely come and pitch to anybody in the team.
It's all on the website, yeah.
It's on the website, but there's nothing better than actually, actually talking to people. And it's very flat at Channel 4, so we then take it to Jay.
Jay Hunt, who's leaving soon.
She is.
Okay. Greg, how's it work?
In my case, me and Ben Frau. In every other commissioner at Channel 5's case,
there's only 7
commissioner, only 8 actually, I think it is, and Ben Frau.
Ben Frau is the Director of Programmes. So it's
very quick.
Yep.
I've actually got a note here from Sue Murphy on this question, which is, and you might be looking to think, liar, about me, but is, we're very lean, no time to fucking diz over with layers of decision. So that's directly from Sue.
Sue's the head of Fact 10.
Sue is the head of Fact 10. We're very lean and we're very flat. So you come in, you see me, I discuss it with Sue, or you come and see any of us. We discuss it with Sue. It goes to Kevin. That can be within a week.
Kevin Ligo.
Yeah.
So with us, look, one of the best things about taking over the department, I think, is building a really exciting team. We've got a bloody brilliant team. So Catherine Catton is the commissioning editor, as is Michael Joknovitz, who's just joined us. The best thing to do is to find a relationship with one of those, and if you've got an existing one, then take ideas to them. We then have an ideas meeting every single week where we'll talk about ideas, and then take them directly to Charlotte or Patrick.
Charlotte or Patrick Holland. And is Patrick have to still report to Charlotte?
No, so Patrick's controller of 2.
So he can just...
Yeah.
Fine. And Discovery, how's it work?
Yeah, very simple. So Charlotte Reed and Steve Jones are my commissioners for Fact 10. But we've also got Victoria Noble and Rob Holloway and Ollie Wilson in the factual side. So build up a relationship with one of them. They'll bring the idea to me. We'll discuss, and then we'll take it to the channel controllers.
Yes.
Something other people might want to add, but also is bring us a good tape or great access, make us laugh, and don't oversell. And that's the other thing, when you come to us, try and at least a couple of those things, if not all.
Yeah. Any more to add? Because I think...
Humour. We didn't discuss that, but humour, I think, is one of the key ingredients of a factual entertainment show. I think things that, as you intimated earlier on, that can make you laugh and cry. It's about having the ups and downs in the shows.
So I just want to say thanks to Ed Sayer, David Brindley, Kate Teckman, Greg Barnett, Kelly Webb-Lamb, Marvin Benoit, and Charlotte Reed for producing this session. I've been Krish Majumdar. Thank you.